You know, we're living in this economy that seems to reward just being busy, but not always creating real value. So what if the secret to actually getting ahead isn't about doing more, but about doing less? Just better. Today, we're going to dive into what's called the deep work dividend. Basically, how you can reclaim your focus and unlock some serious productivity in a world that feels like it's designed to distract you.
Okay, let's kick things off with a stat that's, well, it's kind of shocking. A study from McKinsey found that the average person working a desk job spends more than 60% of their week on just two things: email and surfing the internet. Think about that. That's more than half your work week, just gone, managing messages and clicking around.
So that brings up a really big question, right? If we're constantly online, always connected, always working, why do so many of us get to the end of the day and feel like we didn't actually make a dent in the stuff that really matters? It's the central paradox of how we work today. And this is what you could call the busyness trap. It's this weird cycle where we mistake all that activity for actual accomplishment. Let's really break down what's going on here.
So author Cal Newport really nailed this. He pointed out this huge paradox. The kind of focused, creative work that creates incredible value, that's becoming more and more valuable in our economy. But at the same time, our habits, our tools, our workplaces, they're all making it almost impossible to actually do that kind of work. The more valuable focus gets, the less we seem to practice it.
And the culprits? Oh, they're probably pretty familiar to you. You've got open offices that promise collaboration but really just deliver constant interruptions. You've got instant messaging that creates this pressure to respond right away, shattering any chance of concentration. And of course, living in your email inbox, which basically keeps your brain in a state of constant, fragmented whiplash.
So, what do we do about this? How do we actually fight back? Well, it starts with a new way of thinking. We need a new framework, and it all begins with understanding a simple, powerful distinction: the difference between deep and shallow work. Okay, first up, deep work. This is the good stuff. Picture a coder totally lost in a complex problem, or a writer crafting that perfect paragraph, or a strategist mapping out a game-changing plan. It's tough. It requires every ounce of your attention, and it's the kind of work that truly moves the needle.
And then there's the other stuff. Shallow work. Think about answering routine emails, jumping on another status call, scheduling meetings, making a quick social media post. Look, this stuff has to get done, but it doesn't really use your unique skills. It fills the day, it makes you feel busy, but it doesn't lead to breakthrough.
When you put them side by side like this, it's just crystal clear, isn't it? Deep work creates huge value, and it's really hard for someone else to jump in and do it. It takes a ton of mental energy. Shallow work, on the other hand, is low value, easy for anyone to do, and doesn't really require much brain power. The real question you got to ask yourself is, where are your hours going?
Okay, so just knowing the difference is huge. But let's talk about why mastering this is so much more than just a neat productivity trick. In the economy we're in right now, the ability to go deep, it's basically a professional superpower.
When you really build this deep work habit, it gives you two incredible abilities. First, you get really good at learning complicated things fast. And second, you start producing work at a truly elite level. We're talking top-tier quality, and you get it done quickly. As things like AI start to automate the simple, shallow stuff, these two human skills are your ultimate career insurance.
And look, this isn't just some abstract theory. Some of the most influential people in history lived by this. You've got Carl Jung, who literally built a stone tower to go and think. Mark Twain wrote his classics in a shed far away from his main house. Bill Gates is famous for his think weeks, where he just disconnects completely. And J.K. Rowling, she famously avoided social media for years. They all understood that their best work, their most important contributions, would only come from deep, uninterrupted focus. I love how the author Neil Stephenson puts it. He basically says he has a choice. He can organize his life to get these long, protected chunks of time, and in that time, he can write novels that people will read for years. Or he can live a life of constant interruption and, well, he can write a lot of emails. He chose the novels.
Oh, and J.K. Rowling's very first tweet? It's a perfect example of this in action. Right at the peak of her fame, she got on this massive platform, and her first message was basically, "Hey everyone, don't expect to hear from me much, because my real work, my pen and paper, that's my priority." She was publicly setting a boundary to protect her deep work.
All right, so we get the why. It's a massive advantage. But the big question is how? How do we actually do this?
Let's get practical and talk about 4 rules for going deep. This is your action plan. So there are 4 key steps here. Number 1, you got to decide on your philosophy. You could try something like the bimodal approach, where you set aside specific days of the week for nothing but deep work, and the other days are for all the shallow stuff. Number 2, focus on what's wildly important. Don't just work deeply on random things. Aim all that focus at 1 or 2 really big goals. 3, schedule it. Put deep work blocks in your calendar like they're the most important meetings of your week, because they are. And finally, number 4, you have to become hard to reach. This is non-negotiable. Turn off your notifications, set up email autoresponders, create whatever barriers you need to protect that time.
And that second point about focusing, this quote just hits the nail on the head. If you spread your attention across 10 different goals, you end up making 0 real progress. But if you focus all that deep work on just 1 or 2 things, that's how you get breakthroughs.
And here's a really important warning. This isn't just about picking up a few bad habits. It goes deeper. The science suggests that if you spend all your time bouncing from one distraction to the next, you are literally rewiring your brain to crave that. You can actually damage your ability to concentrate, making it harder and harder to go deep, even when you really want to. The stakes are actually neurological.
So all of this really brings us to a choice. This isn't just about time management. It's about making a conscious decision about the kind of professional, the kind of creator you want to be.
And here's the bottom line. As our world gets noisier and more distracted, as most people default to a life of shallowness, the small group of people who are intentionally cultivating the skill of focus are gaining a huge, huge advantage. Their ability is becoming rare, and by simple economics, that makes it more valuable than ever.
So it all boils down to this, really. The easy path, the path of least resistance, is the shallow one. It's the path of reacting and just being busy. But the path of real creation, of mastery, of doing something that truly lasts, that lies in the deep. The distracted masses are choosing the shallow. The choice is yours. What will you build?